Hi there and welcome to the Smart Therapy Centre website. I want to help you to recover from anxiety quickly and permanently. My name is Dr. Sally McLaren and I'm a clinical psychologist, author, developer of Smart Therapy and the director of the Smart Therapy Centre. The Smart Therapy Centre has been devoted to anxiety recovery for nearly 25 years. Gradually, over the years, I've been tweaking and improving the Smart Therapy method until I now believe it is the best response to anxiety that you will find anywhere in the world. It is completely unique and revolutionary, and as far as I'm aware, there is nothing else like it anywhere. It is also easy and enjoyable to do, and hopefully it will change your life forever. Because that's my aim, to change you from seeing yourself as an anxious person into one who finds anxiety totally irrelevant and instead gets on with life. There are many things that are completely different about Smart Therapy. One of the glaring differences is that Smart Therapy argues there is no such thing as mental illness or pathology driving anxiety. In other words, there is nothing at all wrong with the brains of people who are anxious. It is just that people pay attention to their anxiety because they find it frightening. When we pay attention, we direct our brains to learn. Paying attention is the switch that turns normal, everyday anxiety into self-reinforcing, ongoing anxiety. By paying attention, we tell our brains to learn, consolidate, and efficiently retrieve or remember whatever it is that we were paying attention to. In other words, by paying attention to our anxiety symptoms, we inadvertently get drawn into our completely normal but extremely powerful human learning cycle. This human learning cycle is, of course, self-reinforcing, as it has to be, otherwise we would forget everything. In fact, whenever we pay attention, we are telling our brains to learn, which is exactly what our brains have evolved to do. There is nothing pathological about it. Of course, the more we pay attention, the more we pop up hundreds of thousands of dendritic spines in our brains that release attractor chemicals that make connections with other neurons and create potential brain synapses that are going to be devoted to the specific content to which we are paying attention. If we keep on paying attention, those synapses get more and more traffic. They enlarge and they change shape, filling with more receptors, reflecting the fact that we are now consolidating the specific content into long-term memory. The more this happens, the more we will retrieve and be triggered to think about our anxiety meditations. Paying attention is great when we want to learn mathematics, geography, music, or a new language. We want to be triggered to remember. However, according to Smart Therapy, when we want certain events to become a smaller part of our mental experience, like anxiety or depression or anger, then paying attention is the very last thing we want to do. The more we pay attention to unwanted themes, the more we will build millions and millions of synapses devoted to these unwanted themes. By the way, these themes are often labelled as different mental illnesses by health professionals, such as anxiety disorders, PTSD, OCD, depressive eating, or impulse control disorders. However, rather than these being discrete disorders, according to Smart Therapy, it is more likely that these are simply different themes upon which people have focused their attention. This is because over time, as we build more and more synapses and downstream synapses, these themes to which we pay attention are likely to become bigger and bigger parts of our brains and therefore occupy more and more of our mental experience. This is no different to studying mathematics 10 hours a day. You soon start to see yourself as a maths geek, barely going more than a few minutes without an elaborate maths thought just seeming to pop into your head. After a while, you even start to think of yourself as always having been brainy at maths, as though it is an intrinsic part of your personality. You see yourself as a maths person, even as a maths genius. But actually, you weren't always good at maths. You just trained your brain to become good at it by paying it lots of devoted attention, and thereby learning, consolidating, and retrieving more and more maths equations over time. This is no different to learning anxiety, anger, or depression. If you pay enough attention to them, it is easy to become a mental illness genius. My job at the Smart Therapy Centre is to teach people how to stop paying attention to their anxious and problematic mentations. According to Smart Therapy, paying attention is the specific causative factor that turns normal, transient anxiety that everyone has from time to time into full-blown, self-reinforcing anxiety that is deeply distressing. It is not a mental illness, but it is self-reinforcing if we allow ourselves to get drawn into our normal but extremely powerful human learning cycle. Over time, of course, it is disempowering to have more and more anxious or depressive mentations filling up our minds and our lives. These mentations simply get in the way. My mission in life is to stop the world treating difficulties like anxiety or depression as incurable diseases, biochemical imbalances, or mental illnesses. Within the Smart Therapy framework, there is no such thing. These problems are simply the unintended consequence of paying them too much attention. We can all learn quite easily how to stop paying attention to things that we want to become a smaller and smaller part of our mental experience. Having seen thousands of so-called mentally ill people over the decades, I can tell you that when people stop paying focused attention to their anxiety or depressive ruminations, the synapses very quickly break apart. The spines retract back into their dendrites and they lose their neural input capacity. People then have fewer and fewer anxious or depressive mentations and they recover. All this happens without any pathology labels, without any medications, and without any hospitalizations. So, if you would like some coaching to help guide you in your recovery, then please contact us at the Smart Therapy Centre and we will be very happy to provide it. We have 10 fantastic therapists here, all trained in the Smart Therapy method. On the other hand, if you cannot afford coaching work, or you would just rather do it on your own in the privacy of your own home, then please consider some much cheaper options like buying my latest book called Quit Anxiety Now, which is available on Amazon, or consider purchasing my mobile phone app, simply called Smart Therapy, both of which have lots of information and tips that I have not been able to cover in this brief video. Anyway, whatever your choice, I wish you well on your journey of recovery. However, having just used the word journey, it sounds like it might take years. It certainly doesn't need to. It's important to realise that in my experience, once you fully stop paying attention to all aspects of your anxiety, like the body sensations, the emotions, the thoughts, the images, and the memories, you can actually get over it within weeks and often within days, even if you've been doing it for 30 odd years. So if you really want to get over these difficulties, then get serious and disciplined about it and totally stop paying even a shred of attention to them. Instead, fully focus upon and deeply immerse all of your attention into brain-demanding, enjoyable and highly constructive life activities. Fill your life and your attentional focus with all those things you always wanted to do but never found the time. Once you stop paying attention and stop spending all those hours worrying and ruminating on your anxiety, you'll have all the time in the world. So get started and enjoy your recovery.